Be Investable is one of our most popular courses and has been utilized by some of the most successful entrepreneurs and business minds to obtain funding. The funding necessary to build companies that create massive impact and global change. And before we begin talking about being investable and fundraising, I want to take a moment to look at why businesses fail. And it's not because of a partner or what's going on at the government or in politics or because interest rates went up or down. That's not the case at all. Because there's been many successful companies that made it through the dot-com crash and many successful companies that made it through the real estate bubble. The only reason why businesses fail comes down to the entrepreneur, comes down to the business owner. My name is Michael Melfi, and I'm an intellectual property attorney and entrepreneurial coach. I focus on working with individuals, organizations, and institutions around their trade secrets and disruptive technology. I work with these people to protect their IP and build a roadmap to commercialization, to monetizing their businesses. Our team collaborates in a very entrepreneurial manner to work on the assessment, the strategic planning, business development, execution, and fundraising for these ideas and inventions on their journey to commercialization. Now, over the years, I've had many successes. And over these same years, we've had some not successful situations. And that's okay. Because if you cannot own your successes and you cannot also not own your failures, you cannot move forward. And that's why we created the program Be Investable. And so we get asked what that means. How do I be investable? How do I become investable as an entrepreneur? And I'm going to tell you, it comes from finding the right trusted advisors or the right program that's going to create value for you to assist you in this process. You see, there's a lot of people that are out there that want to give you a program or want to train you. And there's a big difference between getting advice and opinion. Most of the people out there are going to give you their opinion. Less of the people out there are going to give you their advice. You see, advice is information given based on firsthand actual experiences from someone who's been there and done what you're looking to do that you can emulate. There's so many places out there that you can go, and they'll give you great information. They'll give you great opinions. And have they ever actually ran a business? Let me ask you this to put it a different way. If you walked in the gym today and they assigned you to a trainer and your trainer was overweight, would you trust your trainer to get you in shape? Okay, let's say you want to enjoy a nice bottle of wine. And the sommelier comes up to offer you the bottle of wine and you say, well, have you ever tasted it? And they say, well, I don't drink wine. Would you trust them to pick your bottle of wine? Or what if you went to the butcher and the butcher was vegan? Would you trust them to pick out your piece of meat for the barbecue? You get the point. You want someone who's had the experience, more importantly, who's had the results. You want someone who's had that success, or more importantly, someone who maybe has had the failure. See, because someone who's been successful, you can learn from them. And someone who's been unsuccessful, you can learn from them. At the end of the day, your failures can be your biggest capital. Now, I've personally raised tens of millions of dollars over the years for myself and for clients. I've also personally lost millions of dollars in deals, and so have my investors. And that's been part of the success and not so successful experiences that we bring to the conversation. You see, because these experiences have allowed us to gain great wisdom around being investable. Why we created this program? Because there's really three cornerstones that going into being investable. The first is the most basic. It's business operations. The tactics to operate a business. 95% of the programs you're going to see, 95% of the people that work with entrepreneurs, they're going to teach you about your sales, your marketing, your HR, your legal, your finance. All the fundamentals it takes to run a business. And that's what you need. You're going to have to be able to run a business. That's kind of given. It's kind of like you're going to have to be able to swim to get in the pool or dribble a basketball to play basketball. That's given. Now, what's important is that you need to have a direction for where to go once you know those fundamentals. That's where the second pillar comes in. That second pillar of having strategy. You want to be able to build a strategy. So you want to find mentors, you want to find advisors, you want to find a program that's going to provide you with strategy. You can be a great tactician, and unless you have an understanding of strategy, you're going to get lost to the competition. Business strategy takes into account asking great questions, takes into account challenging the thought process, the business model. It asks you why you're in business, what's your purpose. It asks you difficult questions like, what problem do you solve for your target customer? And why are you the right person to solve it? It really makes you dial in on who is that target customer and get really specific about it. It's also going to ask you questions around culture, around what does it your business stand for? What are the overreaching objectives? They're going to carry you through those difficult situations, through those obstacles, through your challenges. Strategy is going to make you ask and understand what it's going to take to win in the long term in your business. You see, strategy takes a deeper level of thinking. And most business owners, most inventors, most people that have an idea, they're going to be reactive. They're going to not be ahead. They're not going to be working on their business. They're going to be working in their business. They're too busy being busy to get really focused on the strategy. And if your strategy does not lead your tactics, you're going to get left behind by your competition. They're going to blow you away. Through my experience, I've had the opportunity to work with successful millionaires. I've watched how they got there. I've coached them on how to grow even larger. And I've personally been coached by a billionaire and multiple millionaires through the course of my career. And I've had the opportunity to learn from them, to learn how they were able to not only find ways to be tactical, and also how to understand the strategy. And at each point, they've taught me lessons around entrepreneurship and fundraising. And this is ultimately where we created this entrepreneurial blueprint that we teach you in the Be Investable program. You see, because as we've gone through the experiences, as I've learned these lessons, as I've been involved in the entrepreneur ecosystem, we've understood the process it takes to be investable. And that's why it's so important and it's so critical that you follow these three components. Most business coaches, most people out there in the ecosystem, most incubators, accelerators, and co-working spaces are probably not going to talk to you about this third piece of the cornerstone. And that's honestly because they're just not qualified to talk about psychology and mindset and the identity of being a successful entrepreneur. It's interesting. There are very few psychologists that work with entrepreneurs, and there's very few entrepreneurs that work with good psychologists. It's not a good or bad thing. It's just this is so important. Take, for example, a great athlete. If you look at a great athlete, they could go in 1 week and have an amazing performance. They could shine and they could do amazing. And the next week when they step in the game, they could not perform so well. And all of a sudden, the following week, they have another great game. And you're saying, what happened between those 3 games? What happened between those 3 weeks? Well, the week after they had a really bad game, they didn't run to the gym or run to the field and practice and learn a bunch of skills and all of a sudden come out better. No, the skill set they have, the tactics they have is there. The playbook or the strategy they have is there. What changed between those weeks was their mindset. What changed was their focus on the game. And so while we think it's very important to have that tactical and strategic component, adding that mindset piece is so important. And it's really the differentiator in becoming investable, in being able to be investable and raise those funds you need for your business. At the end of the day, you're going to learn the strategy and tactics. Whether from us or someone else or anywhere in the ecosystem, they're out there. But it's more about applying the strategy to those tactics. And most importantly, it's about understanding and being able to deep dive into what it takes to have the right mindset, the identity of a successful entrepreneur, and ultimately what it takes to be investable in the eyes of a funding source. We in our program take time to actually address the mindset. There are so many layers that go here, and we really take a time to put you into programs to provide the conditioning systems to create those successful habits, behaviors, and mindsets. And so that's why I'd like to ask you, would you like to be investable? Would you like to have the habits, the mindset, the strategy to be successful? Would you like to be able to learn those things? Are you ready to make your business be successful? Here's what I challenge you to do. Sign up for one of our great opportunities below and take the next step. These programs will not only provide you with information, they will provide you with immediate framework that you can use to be investable.